comparing and ordering numbers. Probably been comparing and ordering numbers for many, many years in school. Now, though, that we've learned about our real number system and that we have irrational numbers, our square roots, we can still go ahead and compare numbers by different methods. One way we can do it is to put them on a number line, because a number line is already in order from least to greatest. Every time I move to the right, I'm getting bigger. So let's go ahead and put these numbers in order using our number line. Let's place them on here first. So 4 and 87/100ths. I'm going to go ahead and this one, it's between 4 and 5. I see that here's the whole number 4, here's the whole number 5. So this is about 4.5. So 4.87 would be somewhere between them. It would be about right in here, somewhere between them, closer to the 5 than it is. What about the square root of 19? Well, whenever I type it in my calculator, I'm going to end up with a decimal, an irrational number that's about 4.35, and it keeps going on and on and on. So the square root of 19 is about 4.4. So it's going to be between 4 and 5, but it's a little smaller than 4.5. So I know it's about right here. And that makes sense because the square root of 16 is 4 and the square root of 25 is 5. So 19 is going to be closer to 16 than it is to 25. What about this one right here? Remember what those lines mean on the sides. This means the absolute value of -5. Absolute value is always a positive number of whatever you see. It's the distance that net number is from 0. So the absolute value of -5 is +5. +5 goes right here on our number line. And the last one that we see here is a fraction, 18/5. I could go ahead and do 18 divided by 5 or type it in my calculator, and I get 3.6. So 18/5 is somewhere between 3 and 4. If this is 0.5, 0.6 is just going to be a little bit further over. If I were to go ahead and write these numbers in order from least to greatest, my smallest one is the one farthest this way. It's the green one, so it's going to be 18/5. My next number is the purple one, so it's going to be the square root of 19. My next biggest one is the orange one, so it's 4 and 87/100ths. And my largest number here is the yellow one, the absolute value of -5. So one way of putting numbers in order is to go ahead and place them on a number line. What if I don't have a number line? Can I go ahead and place these numbers in order, maybe just by looking at the decimals? If I were to change them all to a decimal or an estimated decimal, because remember, some of these, there's no way I can go ahead and write out all their numbers. If it is a radical, an irrational number that's not perfect, I know it's going to be a decimal that keeps going on and on, but I can still estimate it out some. So let's go ahead first and see, well, let's write each of these as a decimal. I'm going to go ahead and do the first one. I see 3 square root of 5. Well, all that means is type in 3 times the square root of 5. If I type it in my calculator exactly how I see that I get a number of about 6 and 71/100ths. Remember, I know it's not an equal and exact answer because my decimal is really going to keep going on and it doesn't stop. But I know it's between 6 and 7. What about the next one? Well, this one's pretty easy. It's already a decimal. So let's go ahead and line it up. I'm lining up my place values to make it easier whenever I go ahead and I put them in order. What about the square root of 29? Type it in my calculator. I know it's going to be between 5 and 6 because the square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 36 is 6. So the square root of 29 is between 5 and 6. When I type it in the calculator, I got an answer of about 5.385. And remember, it's going to keep going on and on and on. I'm just estimating. And the last one I see here is 5 3/8. Several ways I could figure out how much it is. I know my whole number 5. And then if I were to go ahead and convert 3/8 to a decimal, 3 divided by 8 is 375. So now I have all of my numbers. I can go ahead and fill in any empty missing places with a 0 to estimate it. Now let's put them in order according to the whole numbers first. Remember, I'm going from greatest to least. So which of these whole numbers is bigger? Remember, this right here is a negative number. It's not +8, it's -8. So that's actually going to be my smallest one. So my biggest one, since I'm going in order from greatest to least, is going to be 6.710. So this one right here is my biggest one. It's the 3 square root of 5. Okay, what is my next biggest number? Well, I know it's going to be the 5, so now I'm going to have to come over to the decimal points to look at. So I look at each place value. Well, the tenths are the same. Now I go to my hundredths place, Oh, and 8 is greater than a 7. So this number right here is going to be the next biggest one. That was the orange one, so square root of 29. So 5 3/8 is my next smallest one. And of course, the smallest number out of all of them is going to be my negative number, negative 8.239. So now I put them in order from greatest to least by lining up all of my place values and doing the whole numbers first and then moving to the tenths and hundredths when needed. Well, one more thing I want to make sure, we can also do these in our calculator and let our calculator put our numbers in order. But in order to do that, there's a vocabulary we need to know. The difference between ascending and descending. Ascending means you're going up. So that it means we're going in order from least to greatest. Descending, whenever I hear that word, I always think of going down. That means I'm going in order from greatest to least. My calculator speaks in terms of ascending and descending. So as long as I know which one's going up and which one's going down, I will be able to use my calculator. Now, here are all the steps. It sounds very complicated at first, but once you get used to practice typing these in, it's going to be easy. So the first thing we're going to do is on your calculator, hit the stat button. Stat button's kind of near the top, near the arrows, to the left of the left arrow. Whenever you do that, we're going to go to edit. It's already on there, so just hit enter. Now, under the L1 column, it's the first one that you should see, we're going to go ahead and type each of these numbers and just keep hitting enter or using the down arrow to type them in. Whenever I type in a decimal, it goes ahead and keeps it. But whenever I type in like that 57/4, it's going to go ahead and convert it to a decimal. So I'm going to write down what my decimal number was for this one so that I don't forget it. And my calculator changed it to 14.25. Going and type in the next one. Now I have 5 square root of 10. That means 5 times square root of 10. I still type it in my calculator exactly how I see it. 5 square root symbol and then 10. And my calculator converted it to a decimal. It's estimating it at about 15.811. That's what it changed it to and typed in its place. And then we're going to hit enter and go to my last number. It's 16.7 repeating. So I'm just going to type in 16 point. I'm going to type in several sevens and hit enter. And so now I've typed in all of my numbers. I go back and I hit stat button again. And it takes you back to that other screen that we were just on. Choose, if you look down, we're going to see number 2 and number 3. There's a sort A and a sort D. Sort A means put it in ascending order. Sort D means put it in descending order. So we're going to go ahead and choose which one we want it to use. If I'm going from least to greatest, I want to go up. So I'm going to sort in ascending order. I can either use my arrow to go down to where it says sort A, or I can do the number that's right next to it, which is a 2. Now, what I need to do is I need to tell my calculator to go ahead and put in that list 1. So my calculator went back to the home screen that says sort A parentheses. Well, on my home screen, down at the bottom in blue, I see that it says L1 right on top of my 1. So I have to hit my second button and 1, and it's going to type L1 there, and then hit enter. Your calculator says done. Well, I don't know what it did. It's not showing me anything. It just says done. Well, to go back and see your list, we need to go back to stat again and hit enter to go back to our list. And now that we can see that our numbers in list 1 are now put in ascending order. They're put in order from least to greatest. And it's telling me that my smallest number was 14.25. Oh, this is my smallest number. It's the 57/4. Then it's telling me my next number was 15.811. Oh, this was the next one, so it's 5 square root of 10. And then 16.778, that's this one. That's the 16 7/10 repeating. And then the biggest number, largest number, was 17 3/10. So our calculator actually put our numbers in order from least to greatest. Remember, we just have to know the type to type them in the stat, and then know the difference between sort A and sort D. Least to greatest, greatest to least.